Good afternoon and welcome to the news at 12 on Metro TV. This bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 277 coming up. Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council set to partner the Association of Ghana Industries (AGI) in creating a new automotive hub at Afenya in the Greater Accra region. Majority caucus in Parliament ravishes calls for the first Deputy Speaker Joe Osei Owusu to recuse himself from the Privileges Committee of Parliament. And in news from elsewhere, 6 people have been killed in a blast at a seaside restaurant in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. Details shortly. That's our first story. The Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council is set to partner the Association of Ghana Industries (AGI) in creating a new automotive hub at Afenya in the Greater Accra region. The RCC, led by the Regional Minister Henry Quartey, made this known during a conference of investors in Accra.
According to government, the Abossey Spare Parts Enclave is currently congested and unfit for purpose. A representative of the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council outlined some components of the envisioned automotive zone for spare parts dealers of Abossey.
And there's also going to be a toll road to link those two, entities. That is the harbour and the hub. Then we have the ancillaries as well. There's obviously the need for you to have various ancillary, institutions like who will provide finance, security.
Adding to this, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey announced the creating of a new and spacious automotive hub in the Greater Accra region.
We are looking at what we call the West African Automobile Hub. The Abossey is just around the corner there. It's been there for over 30, 40 years. And that is the brain of Ghana's automobile industry in terms of spare parts and all that. Today, they have outlived the space and their usefulness and purpose of being at Abossey. As we speak, we have about 5,000 permanent shops in Abossey and about 17,000 temporary businesses like tabletops. The initiative and the idea, for that matter, to create a new hub for them at Afenya. Fortunately, the RCC is talking to the Minister of Lands, and we have been assured of about 2,500 to 4,000 acres of land. We are almost done with the processes. Now, over there, we will transform the way they have done business over the last 30 years.
For his part, the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Humphrey Kwesi Eyim-Dake, also announced plans of engaging the government on financing options for developmental projects in the city.
AGI has followed with keen interest the dynamism of the regional minister in changing our capital city. And I stated that this was birthed out of a courtesy call. And we are determined to extend our support to his vision, plans, programs to attain this set goal. We seek to engage in subsequent discourse with the mayors and the MCs to flesh out bankable projects that we can package through the private-public partnership under the Ministry of Finance, to structure financing options that could assist in attaining this goal without putting burden on government, considering the various developments in the world and in the debt position of our country.
Some investors who also showed interest in projects on the Agbogbloshie land were taken on a tour. The conference, which took place at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, was under the theme, The New Phase of Greater Accra, Collaborative Cities and Private Sector Role in Achieving Accelerated Development. Shadrach Odame Ejare, Metro News, Accra.
Moving on, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has commissioned a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant at Lakpleku Ningo Prampram in the Greater Accra region. The move, which will create some 2,500 indirect jobs, is also expected to reduce importation of infusion into the country.
The $35 million pharmaceutical plant put up by the Atlantic Life Science Limited in the Ningo Prampram constituency of the Greater Accra region was supported by government and under its One District, One Factory program. The state-of-the-art facility has the capacity to produce all infusions, eye, ear, nasal drops, and inhalation anesthetics to meet local demands. Speaking at the event, Trade Minister Alan Chermatin mentioned that the plant will cut down on importation of such products.
It will provide a basis for us as a matter of policy to be able to restrict the importation of pharmaceutical products that can be produced locally. And government has already issued a policy that requires state funds that are being used for procurement for any product in our country, first to be given the opportunity to locally manufactured products.
Tina Mensah is a Deputy Minister of Health.
The policy provides a framework for a multi-sectorial approach to ensuring that we achieve self-sufficiency in vaccine production, manufacturing for national use by 2030. Again, the Ministry of Health has worked very hard with the Ministry for Justice and Attorney General's Office to get the National Vaccine Bill ready for Cabinet.
President Akufo-Addo was happy about the operationalization of the factory, saying it will create some 2,500 indirect jobs.
Out of the total investment for the project, which is estimated at 35 million United States dollars, Ghana Exim Bank provided a credit facility to the tune of 10 million United States dollars for the procurement of plant, equipment, and machinery. I'm again pleased to learn that this new factory is generating some 380 direct jobs, and when fully operational, will generate additional direct employment for some 400 workers. In addition, the facility is expected to create a total of 2,500 indirect jobs. The transformation of the Ghanaian economy from one of production and export of raw materials to an industrializing, value-adding economy remains one of the central priorities of my government. This requires, inter alia, a vibrant investment climate and a robust regulatory and incentive regime to support private investments in new strategic sectors.
With financial support from Exim Bank Ghana, the Atlantic Life Science plant brings to a total of 107 completed and operational factories under the One District, One Factory initiative.
Away from that, the University of Ghana has launched the Vice Chancellor's Program for enhancing the University of Ghana student experience through digitalization. The program is meant to lead the university towards creating a culture that promotes research, teaching, and learning with the use of technology and digitalization.
The project, estimated at $7 million over a 3-year period, involves classroom modernization, One Student, One Laptop initiative, and the creation of hotspot zones for fast internet connectivity. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Nana Aba Appiah Ampho, speaking at the launch, said, despite UG being the premier university, it has struggled to maintain classroom infrastructure due to the dependence of government, which has overburdened the Ghana Education Trust Fund on account of the many public universities.
To create a culture that promotes research, teaching and learning, administrative processes, and extension activities driven by technology and accord in humanism. The two key underlining words for me here are technology and humanism.
The Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, who launched the initiative, said it would enhance education transformation at the university.
Synchronizing with government's digitalization agenda, spearheaded by His Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Bawumia, the Vice President of the Republic. Government commitment to this cause is evident in the designation of the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, together with other state agencies, to lead in this digitalization effort.
According to him, the installation of a digital environment and innovation would serve the larger student population geared towards fulfilling government's agenda of digitalization in all aspects of the economy towards an efficient technological system to transform and create an enabling environment to compete with the rest of the world.
Institutions around the world, various universities are transforming the world. They are transforming it through innovation. So this is not the era where you just deploy laptops and deploy computers for its own sake. You are deploying these tools so that students can become more innovative and creative. And you can create a critical mass with the critical minds for socio-economic transformation of Ghana.
Away from that, a former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Ajiman Bedu Akosa, has expressed concern about the over-concentration of everything in the country on politics, pointing out that the country could not only be developed through politics. He was speaking at the launch of the Moses Foundation Ghana, a platform to harness national cohesion and build up support for alma maters.
Mentioning national cohesion and leadership as some of the ways through which the country could be developed, Professor Ajiman Bedu Akosa, who is also a member of the Mobilizing Old Students for Educational Support Foundation Ghana, said currently there was no opportunity to build national leadership.
In every system, you harness the energy and the potential for an advancement of, in this instance, the educational sector, or to build national leadership. Currently in this country, it appears as if there is no opportunity to build national leadership. Everything coalesces around politics. But the country cannot only be developed by politicians. It can also be developed through this national cohesion and leadership.
He commended the Moses Foundation Ghana for using the Old Students platform to harness national cohesion and build up support not only for individual alma mater, but for the educational sector in the country.
Are mobilizing the spirit and the leadership amongst old students, not only for their alma mater, but for general educational support.
Explaining what the foundation was about, Nyaba Awiba Azongo said it was established to provide leadership in building national cohesion based on old student solidarity and advocacy in mobilizing old student support for sustainable educational development in the country and to inspire global leadership excellence in schools in the country.
One, mobilizing old students for educational support, building national cohesion for educational development, and then inspiring excellence in global leadership. Now we'll be having the Boss Awards, the Maiden Boss Awards this year, November this year. And that will be preceded by the Moses Generational Leadership Legend Award. We want to encourage more generational leadership.
Away from that, technical advisor from the Office of the Vice President, Dr. Kabiru Mahama, has rebuffed the recent Global Info Analytics survey, which projected former President John Dramani Mahama as the preferred presidential choice going into the 2024 general elections. According to him, the process used in conducting the research was flawed. He spoke earlier on in an interview on Inside Pages.
You tell us that this research is based on convenience sampling and then random sampling. Yes. Let me tell you the difference. When you are doing convenience sampling, you are basically doing the purposive sampling or non-random sampling technique. And journalists do sampling. We call one of the sampling methods is what we call accidental. And they are usually called the journalist sample or refer to the journalist. Because when you go to an accident scene to sample the views of people, I mean, they constitute the view of the people as that, but cannot be generalized for the totality of the population.
Right.
So purposive sampling can never be used. Convenience sampling can never be used to generalize for what Ghanaians think about a situation. It is only peculiar to that particular group you interviewed. But in this particular analysis, we are told that in January they did convenience sampling, and that was used to be a basis of thinking what Ghanaians think. That is wrong. Okay. It's not what Ghanaians think, because you cannot generalize purposive sampling for the issue of the general public. Now, in April, they now combine convenience sampling with random sampling. Now they are bringing two sampling techniques, right? And then they are using that data to get about 68 constituencies upon which they drew the sample of 5,235. Now, the mistake with that is that they are using that to generalize again, but it's a mixture of something that you cannot use to generalize and something that you can use to generalize. You dilute it, and the data loss is essence. It's a tried knowledge in research that once convenience sampling is involved, run away from generalization for the total population. And what he probably needed to come out upfront to even guide the media is to tell them that, you know what, I'm doing opinion polls. This cannot be a generalization for the total population of Ghana.
Now, speaking on the same program, member of the NDC communications team, Elikem Kotoko, said the survey is a direct projection of what Ghanaian people want.
In the eye of the average Ghanaian, what Dr. Dankwa and his team have done is nothing new. It is what already Ghanaians know out there and are preparing to actually execute when that final day comes. A few things that I saw to be very worrying, even from the report, is that if you take Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who in 2016 used religious cards or played religious cards with politics so much, but then suddenly there seems to be a very sharp decline in his support from the Muslim community. It is very telling, and I must say it sincerely, that because I know that Islam, and Muslims in particular, hold in fidelity the truthfulness or honesty, I think it is chipping off Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia greatly, knowing very well that there are a lot of instances we can cite here of how Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has become a laughingstock or considered to either be unserious or not worthy of any attention, even within the regime itself, but only allowed to look like a senior presidential staffer. From where I come from, it also tells you that within the NDC, it is looking as an established fact that John Mahama is a major frontrunner. Whereas in the NPP, there's a lot of despondency because there's one person who people believe was the economic messiah, but has turned out to be the economic mess. Whether he was in charge of the economics management team or has become an economics management teacher. So I think Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia put himself out for ridicule, and it wouldn't have to be shifted onto Global Info Analytics for what work they have done.
Now let's do more stories. The majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, has emphasized that a decision taken by the Privileges Committee on the fate of 3 MPs who have been referred to the committee over absenteeism in Parliament won't be subject to a debate by the House. Osei Mensah says his side disagrees with Speaker Bagman's assertion that the report to be submitted by the committee after its work will be subject to debate by the plenary before any action is taken on the absentee MPs.
It establishes that any of them had no reasonable cause to have absented himself or herself they will do a report on that. That is the end of it. That is the end of it. A vacancy, if they come to the conclusion that that person, a particular person, apart from the fact that he or she had absented himself or herself for more than 15 sitting days, had no justification for that absence, then, as per the Constitution, a vacancy shall fall. Or there shall be a vacancy ensuing from that conduct of the person. Having been summoned before the Committee on Privileges, you are not able to offer a reasonable explanation for your absence. That reasonability will be established by the committee. And once the committee determines that what you have said doesn't make sense to us, that's the end of it. It doesn't come back to Parliament for Parliament to vote on it or for us to deliberate on it. The first Deputy Speaker.
Now, meanwhile, the Majority Leader says the call for the first Deputy Speaker to recuse himself from the committee is unjustifiable since he is mandated by the standing others of Parliament to chair the committee.
Is named by the orders to chair the committee. So if you are insisting that the first Deputy Speaker shouldn't chair, are you going to amend the standing orders to accommodate another person to be the chair? That's point number one. Point number two, if any member is conflicted, maybe so he has some interest in a business that is referred to a committee, that person can opt out to say that, no, this matter has come before us. I have a personal interest, so I'm opting out. Once he does that, it is for the caucus to replace him. That's the rule. So unless maybe you don't know about that, if you say that way, assuming without admitting that it's possible for the first Deputy Speaker to abdicate, there must be a replacement from the caucus that he represents.
Now, General Secretary of the Convention People's Party, Nanaya Achimpem Jantwa, speaking on Metro TV Newsbeat, said the entire party made a mistake by allowing the present chairperson, who had less than the 50% plus one vote required to win the seat, to assume the role. They are, however, ready to correct it.
The reason why we are going through all this turmoil is the fact that at the elections that we held in 2020, our chairmanship position, nobody got 50 or more of the valid vote cast. We went through a Congress that was not congregated. You know, normally Congresses are congregated, but because of COVID and the exigencies of the time, we didn't have that Congress. So when the results came, everybody had scattered because of COVID, people were not waiting around. You cast your vote and you leave. Then later on, we realized that the chairmanship position, nobody got 50% or more of the valid vote cast. And it says here, this is the CPP constitution. It says categorically in 92E that a candidate for election to the office of national chairperson and leader shall be deemed, shall, I'm not a lawyer, but I know shall is such a strong mandatory word, shall be deemed to have been duly elected if more than 50% of the members of Congress present and voted in his favor. He goes on to say, where at the election of the national chairperson and leader, there are more than two candidates and no candidate obtained the votes specified in Clause E of this article, another election shall be held between the two candidates who obtain the highest number of votes to select the winner. We erred by not adhering to this. The person who did the election came up and said that the IOC, the committee that ran the election, erred. So we think that we should go for a rerun. We've been bombarded with petitions after petitions. We are in court. The bottom line of this issue, all the confusion, is this 50% or more. Because once you are in a congregation, figures are tabulated.
Right.
And when they are tabulated, immediately it is shown that we didn't get it. So let's immediately come back and do another one. But this one, everybody was scattered.
Now, away from that, the majority in Parliament says the decision by the NDC to seek an injunction on the passage of the e-levy is a sign of bad faith and an attempt to foil government business.
Business about the approval of the e-levy. They indicate to us that they had all left the chamber when questions were being put. You saw some of them were walking in. But that's another matter. What are the numbers supporting whatever? The burden of proof is on them. We did not resort to hard numbers in any event. It was a voice vote. Maybe somebody is crafty enough and ingenious enough to allot a voice per head, so we know how many heads. That is their matter. Let them take it to court to litigate. But I believe that it will be a Herculean task on their part to convince and persuade whoever.
A total of 538 more students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology who were affected by the automated fee-paying system of the school have, as this morning of today, April 22, have received a message of reinstatement by the school authority following the payment of the fees by 2,800 students with the support of the Students' Representative Council and the school bursary. Addressing a joint press conference on campus, the SRC and the National Union of Ghana Students reiterated calls for management of the school to soften its stance on the 70% threshold, since most of the 6,000 affected students per the data available to the SRC are genuine needy students who are unable to pay their fees. They, however, condemned the attitude of some students who deliberately use their fees for betting and other business ventures on campus.
The Parliamentary Council of the SRC held an emergency sitting to discuss matters concerning the deferment of 6,000 students overpayment of school fees. The KNUST Students' Parliament House equally held an emergency leadership sitting to also discuss this matter.
Our interactions with the Dean of Students and management have proven that indeed management has a case, but their case is something that we may not be able to live with, because we believe that, one, this is too harsh and it's a blow not just to students but to them, because in as much as the university needs funds to run, the university needs students to run too. Laws were made for human beings were not made for laws. So if you make policies and laws and at a certain point in time it comes against the very essence of our educational foundation, then it is only right that together as the National Secretariat and the SRC, we call for a quick relook at the situation.
When you look at the data, you realize from what the PR said that there were about some students who went for interview. Out of the interview, 13 people did not qualify. And if you go into the data of the 13, it could tell you pickets of the answers that you need, showing you very well that a marginal number of students find themselves in such situations. But I want us to concentrate on the subject matter, and that is what is most important for NGOs, philanthropists to come in to help. The needy students, 225 students out of about 235 that went for an interview. It tells you the picture that majority of them are needy students. And that's what I want us to gear our constitution on in this press conference.
Now, in the wake of the recent government's resolve to stop funding public tertiary education and deferment over 3,000 students at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, advocates are calling for consideration of the paramount interest of less privileged students and sustainable means to fund tertiary education in related deliberations and decisions.
Are deferred for various reasons, which may include failure to attain semester-approved GPA, absenteeism, and failure to pay tuition fees. The announcement of deferment of over 6,000 students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology over failure to pay 70% of academic tuition fees at a time when government intends to win public universities of subvention, has raised concerns over securing interest of less privileged students. Advocates say winning of the universities from government support without due consideration may expose the less privileged students to new policy of schools geared towards raising funds internally, but which may turn out to be unfavorable to them. Pursuant to the concerns, the Member of Parliament for Akachi North, Peter Nochu Kote, while calling for a reversal of the deferment, is urging government to hold a stakeholder engagement to find sustainable ways of funding tertiary education.
They are going to lose the academic year. And once you lose this semester, it will be the academic year. And you have to come back next academic year. And given the infrastructure challenges that we have in our institutions now, if they should go home and they want to come back, 6,000 plus, with those who are going to seek admission next year again to KNUST, there will be explosion. We need a stakeholder engagement as a nation. How do we fund tertiary education and education in general? So we need to holistically look at funding of education in the country. That's why we have been urging government, let's have a stakeholder engagement on education in the country. And when we do that, we'll be able to advise government that this is the way we think it should go.
In same vein, Student Representative Council President of KNUST, Michael Adofo Ebua, is also calling on parliamentarians to work to ensure interests of the less privileged students are considered during the deliberations to win off the public universities from government funding.
The way forward is that as Parliament is considering bills as to how the structure of fees payment should be for the ensuing academic years, they should also critically look at how they can be able to exempt needy students who face peculiar situations.
Away from that, some communities along the ongoing Afinya Railway Bridge project are lamenting over flooding of their homes due to the diversion of the drain into their residence by the contractors. They are calling on authorities involved to act to avert any calamity.
Communities such as Afienya, Shire Hills, Railway Estate and Philip Koppe, all within the enclave of the ongoing Railway Bridge project, are now at the mercy of the slightest rainfall. Since the start of the rain season, most homes are frequently flooded anytime there is a downpour. According to residents, this phenomenon of flooding is new to them. They say their current condition can only be blamed on the activities of the ongoing railway construction by the Ancons Infrastructure Limited, contractors working on the railway bridge project. The residents say they are sometimes forced to stay at home and skip work due to the threat posed to their lives by the flood, which sometimes submerge their only access road. Some of them spoke to Metro News.
We've called them and called them. We've been to there several times, but they don't care. It's as if they don't care about what is happening. Whilst you said you are doing this thing to benefit us, should we die before we enjoy it? No. I don't understand why they are letting us going through this pain and this suffering. So we plead with them. They should come and do something about this issue. Otherwise, we will have given them only 2 weeks. Otherwise, we will close the bridge down. We will block the whole bridge. Because what they are doing to us, we are going through so many things. Our kids cannot go to school. They cannot go anywhere. Please, they should come and do something about this thing.
The fact is they have opened 2 major drains into the community. Waters that ran all the way from Shire Hills, Doyumu, they ran along the railway, and they have 2 bridges that discharge. Their drains discharge the water directly into our homes. We spend money, we contributed money to construct the road by ourselves. Anytime the rain falls and the flood comes, it sweeps away the road, and our roads are terrible. Children cannot go to school.
Other residents at the railway estate who could not hide their frustrations despite several petitions to the construction company and even the road minister say they might be forced to take the law into their hands if the problem persists.
Our children cannot go to school. Look at our house. Look at all the people in the water now. It's a big problem here. If nothing is done about it, we have only one way to block the waterway.
This water all used to come to my house here. Even the neighbor there, he did a fence wall, it broke the fence wall down. So we don't have anything that we have to do. We are pleading on behalf of the government to come and seek and then hear our grievances, find a lasting solution to it.
The situation has also compelled several developers to abandon their building project, while some residents have packed out. When contacted, the Human Relations Manager at ANCOM, Williams Atipo, blamed some of the residents, saying they are on the waterway, hence their current predicament.
We take another break. Do stay. Now, let's take some business news. Ghana's cocoa industry has, over the years, been threatened by the activities of Galamsey operators. According to the board chairman of Cocoa Board, Peter McMenu, a collaboration between agencies in the industry is necessary to fight Galamsey and protect the nation's water bodies.
Has 16 regions. If you go to major regions where cocoa are produced, like Western North, Western region, Ashanti, Eastern, many of the farms have been devastated by the activities of Galamsey. Are we going to just look at it? Because people's income are being wiped off. We are aware that our river bodies have been polluted. We are aware that some farms have been degraded under the guise of Galamsey. We cannot sit in Cocoa Board and find solutions to them. Equally, you may not know some of the setbacks the activities of Galamsey is causing or the havoc it is wreaking on the cocoa industry, which has continued to be the mainstay of the economy of this country from time immemorial, from Tete Kwashi. Are we going to sit aloof and let the cocoa industry die? No. And certainly, Minerals Commission will not approve of that. So there is the need to judge and find common solutions to common problems of Team Ghana.
Away from that, Ghana is a signatory to the Paris Agreement on Renewable Energy, where countries pledge to reduce carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions, as well as to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Speaking at the Ghana Economic Outloom, the Deputy Energy Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says this will be a difficult task as fossil fuels still plays a critical role in building an industrialized economy.
The maiden Ghana Economic Outlook Summit was on the theme Climate Financing, Positioning Ghana's Economy in the Era of Energy Transitions. Speaking at the event, the Deputy Energy Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says the nation was in a hurry to execute the Paris Energy Agreement, since fossil fuels still plays a critical role in the nation's industrialization agenda.
But even those who are calling upon us to jettison our natural resources, they continue to develop dirty sources of energy for their economies. I am a lover of renewable energy, but truth be told, the kind of energy intensity you need to support industrial development still rests with fossil. And so to those who think that we will not do renewable, we want to do renewable. We want to transition at our own pace.
The policy lead at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Charles Ofori, called for a paradigm shift.
There's so much potential in this energy transition, and the rhetoric that Ghana or Africa needs to pollute to industrialize is something that we should actually do away with and begin to look at energy transition as an opportunity and then not as a threat.
Economist and partner at CCAT Global, Emmanuel Amuadakwa, reiterated the need to have open debate on Ghana's energy prospects.
And we believe that climate financing and how we position Ghana's economy in transitioning
in this energy transition is very critical to our economy. It's all about striking the balance of where we want to go to as a country. What are the available options that we can explore in this quest to transition from fossil fuel to cleaner energy? And I must also reiterate that we don't have to sacrifice the very investment we have made now and enjoying as a developing country in the quest for us to transition very fast.
The global head of membership at the Institute of Certified Chartered Economists called for economic education for transformation.
To become a very good economist, you must be involved in conversations that bring transformation. And so for us, we are involved in creating various platforms, whether it's virtual or in person, that offers our learners and our members the continuous learning and knowledge sharing, and of course, contributing their quota to national development as well as global development.
The event was powered by CCAT Global in collaboration with the Institute of Certified Chartered Economists and sponsored by Eco Capital Investments.
Away from that, the Traders Union Congress has called for review of the labor laws in the country to include clauses that protect the rights of workers and offers workers' salaries beyond the inflation rate. Now, speaking to Metro News, the Director of Research and Policy of Trades Union said this will help promote equality and neutrality in the public workers sector.
Also emphasize the need for us to review the labor law, because as it is, there are many loopholes that does not allow for better protection of workers' rights. And it's important that the review process seal off those loopholes and make sure that the law we have offers adequate protection to workers. In terms of incomes, we are calling for a situation where we no longer get a wage increase below inflation rate, 4%, when inflation is 10%. You don't get 7% when inflation is 9%. We want a situation where, as it is today, inflation is 19.4%. We get a wage increase of at least 19.4%. We need to protect incomes and wages for workers. And we also need to work to make sure that the disparities are addressed. I mean, even if my pay is low, and you tell me that this is all you can have, and I understand. But if others in the same boat are having much, much higher pay and higher increases, I will not understand. So we should also work to address the disparities. And to do that, we are calling for a situation where we all simply overhaul the entire public sector pay regime and make sure that we are all on the same span. Our pay is all determined at the same time.
That's all for Newsbeat. We came to you live from the Kia Abuahima studio. My name is Harriet Addy. Stay tuned for the rest of our programs and have a great day.